Welcome to the Lincoln Spirit Soccer Coaches Meeting. We will go over your coaching requirements, player passes, practices, uniforms, Spirit League rules, and cover other items listed here. Anyone coaching or assisting with the team must complete the following 3 items: Kids Safe, Safe Sport, and concussion training. All coaches listed on your roster were sent the information and directions on how to complete these items. This must be done in order to activate your team roster. Please complete if you have not done so already. When you are logged into your Affinity account, under your Certificates tab, it will also have instructions for you and links on how to complete those 3 items. Each player will have a player pass that you will be given to as the head coach. Do not give them to the players. You will need to have these on hand at every game. The passes will be available for coaches to pick up at the park at their first game. You will also need a copy of your printed roster. So when I'm logged into my Affinity account, I would go at the top, go under my account. It would take you to this page here. You'll see this is the Certificates tab we were talking about. And then you can also go to Teams. This will have your teams listed that you're attached to. Go to Team Info. Here you're really going to see nothing listed just for privacy reasons. We can't have a bunch of kids' names on there, but essentially what you'll see, your name at the top as a coach. This shows I'm approved. I've completed my background check. CC means I've uploaded my concussion certificate, and ST means I have completed my safe sport training. And then down below here, in this area, this is where you are going to see the player's picture, their name, birth date, all that kind of stuff. You won't have as many buttons as I do here, but one of the buttons in this area is going to be Print Official Roster. That is the button that you will click on to print your official roster that you will show to the officials at the game. When you print that roster, you'll know it's official because at the top it'll say Nebraska State Soccer official team roster. It will also have the U.S. Youth Soccer logo on that roster as well. If you don't see the button here to print official team roster, that means I haven't been able to activate your team yet, likely because you or another coach has not completed their requirements up here. So without those completed, I cannot activate your roster. Coaches also have access to the digital player passes. So those are ones you can just show from your phone out at the field. With the player photos, I have entered those for the new teams. Those of you who have been previous teams, your player photos are still good. Unless there's one missing, it just means every 2 years, the system usually automatically deletes them out so we can get the most updated recent photo. If there's a photo that needs to be changed, like someone accidentally uploaded the wrong one or something, for those, only I have access to change a photo as club registrar. So in that case, you would just need to let me know so-and-so's photo needs to be changed. We'll get the old one deleted, new one uploaded. For practices, most of you have already submitted your practice location to me. Just a reminder that you likely will not have a field to yourself and need to share the space. Below here is a link for available LPS sites that we have reservations at and times. Remember when looking at that, there are specific sites that sometimes don't start till maybe a 6 or a 6:30 due to after school programs, or depending on the site, it could also be where a high school team practices, so they have it reserved till a certain time. All of your players should have ordered their uniforms by now. All Spirit teams are required to wear the Spirit Under Armour uniforms, the jersey, the socks, the shorts. The Adidas uniforms, those are no longer allowed. Do note that we do have some outside clubs who have teams who play in the LSC Spirit League. We've got Norris and Dreamers. So they wear the uniforms of their club that holds their state registration, as our Spirit teams wear our uniforms. Games will be played under FIFA laws and any other modifications made by us for LSC Spirit League. Here in this document, you can find the link to the laws of the game. There will also be a link here for the Spirit League rules as well. We're not going to go through all of those, but make sure you read through all of them and are aware of all the rules. And if you have any questions, to let me know. Goal kicks and free kicks for the defending team in their own penalty area. The ball is in play as soon as the kick is taken. It can be played before it leaves the penalty area. As usual, there is no intentional heading of the ball allowed by the U11 age groups and younger. Same goes for any U11 players who are on a U12 team. They are not allowed to head the ball. The build-out line still applies to U9, U10 age levels. As soon as the keeper has the ball, the opposing team needs to move behind the build-out line. So goalies, you're not allowed to do any punting or any drop kicks. If the goalie was to secure the ball and then puts the ball back onto the ground, it is a live ball for everyone. In here, we've also got a link to the build-out line video. So if you're looking for a little more visual on that, you can watch the video there. We're not going to watch the whole thing in here. Any team that plays an ineligible player shall be subject to disciplinary action, but not limited to forfeiture of the game, a fine, suspension of the team's coach from competition, or expulsion of the team from the league. Players must be on certified rosters to play. So again, that's that certified roster that you print for your game and give to the ref. Only the players listed on that roster are allowed to play in your Spirit games. For the Spirit In-House, we will use the Playerspace system. So just make sure if you have that tool to communicate with your players and your parents. And you can always print a roster in Playerspace, but be sure that is not the one that you are printing to take to your games, because that is not an official state soccer roster. So here, just kind of a test page we have set up to go through Playerspace. I'm sure most of you are kind of familiar with it now. To get to your team, you just go in the upper right-hand corner here. You've got My Teams that'll list your active teams there. As a coach, you have a little bit more access. So again, you'll have that coach's corner here when you visit your team page. Normally, again, you're going to see kids listed. I think we just kind of have a dummy page set up here. But if I go to my roster, this is where I can see kids' names, phone number, all that kind of stuff. Biggest thing here is your export roster button. That's where you can get that printout that has player name, parent name, phone number, email, all that kind of stuff. If you're wanting to send out a message to the team, you can also use the system here. You've got email and Playerspace inbox. You can also send out as a text message as well. And of course, you've got your schedules tab. Schedules, nothing obviously listed on here, but if you want to print out PDF of it, you would just go to the schedule button over here. For Spirit Soccer, we will keep track of game scores and everything. I will enter those once I receive the score that's inputted from officials, in-game officials. So if you don't see a score right away, all it means is the ref just has not submitted their game card yet to game officials. Some of them do it that night. Some of them may not do it till the end of the week. So just don't worry if you don't see anything there. It'll eventually be there as soon as they insert those scores to us. Game day responsibilities. Like I said, as a coach, you're going to have that printed copy of your roster for the official. You're going to have your laminated player passes, or you have to show your digital player passes. You'll supply a game ball. And then be sure that you keep only rostered players and coaches to the team playing on the sideline. Everybody else must be sent over to the opposite side of the field. So parents, spectators, they can't be sitting on your guys' side of the field, or they also cannot be sitting behind the goals. They need to be on the opposite side of the field. Make sure that we are respecting officials. Do not argue or make comments. Reminder, you are not allowed to go onto the field during the game. Only if you're called onto the field by the official for an injured player. There is a time and place to fill out officials' concern and complaints, and it is not during your game. If you have a problem with your game, what we advise you to do is on our website, there's going to be a link to the referee evaluation form. You'll fill that out. It'll go directly to the ref assigner, who then can address the issue. Scheduling, most of you, of course, already turned in your team conflict forms. So we use that as if there were any dates that you couldn't play. But in the case where you do need to reschedule a game, you as a coach would need to contact the coach of the other team to set up a new date. And then once you've set up a new date that works for you, you would get in contact with me to find out more about field availability. But as long as your team has enough players to play the game, it should still be played. We don't want to be rescheduling just for one missing here or there, because it's gonna happen where kids are sick, maybe they have another sport they're playing as well. But just so you notice here, if you do reschedule any games, there will be a fee assessed with that. Weather cancellations, as always, we've got our cancellation line, and then with us using Playerspace, we will also send out a message through there if a game was canceled. So if it's a weekday game, Monday through Friday, typically the decision is made and posted by about 3:30, Saturday by about 8 a.m., and Sunday 11 a.m. Games that are canceled due to weather will be rescheduled for the next available date by the league director. If the date does not work for your team, you will need to get in contact with the coach of the other team to determine a date and time that will work for both, and then check with the league director on field availability. So if you get a game rained out, game gets rescheduled, and it doesn't work for you, you're allowed to reschedule that, but it must be done within 7 days after that rescheduled game has been posted. Otherwise, you're going to go back into that fee applying to that reschedule. We expect good sportsmanship from our players, coaches, and spectators. If you have an issue, please speak with the YMCA site supervisor. Typically, you can find them in the garage area, or one of them could be out driving around on the gator as well. As a spirit team, you are eligible for sanctioned tournaments. Listed here is our annual spring tournament, the Chris Walters one that we run every spring. And then here there is a link to other sanctioned tournaments in the area. The only thing I ask is if you do decide to do a tournament, and a lot of them have online check-in of stuff you need to do, make sure you're letting me know at least 2 weeks before if there's anything you'll need. A lot of times we have coaches who, check-in is due at 6 o'clock that night, and they contact me at 4 or 5 o'clock that day needing all these things done. So it's just much easier if you give me much more notice on what you need done, especially if it's the case of it's a Friday and I happen to already be out at the field for the day and there's something you guys are needing done. Here we have links to various websites you might need. These links are also on our YMCA Spirit page. I would suggest bookmarking, especially the Affinity site where you can print your roster. Other coaches, sometimes what they'll do is as soon as their team roster is active, you guys have 8 in-house games, they'll just go ahead and print 8 copies, keep them in a folder with their player pass cards so they're all set. As always, just a couple reminders. Pets are not allowed at YMCA parks. So just, remind your parents of that. It never fails. We always have people there with pets. But just a reminder, they are not allowed in the park. No warming up in the goal area of any field. We want to keep that area nice, especially when it gets wet. If we're warming up in there, it just keeps getting beaten down. Spectators, we already kind of talked about that, but make sure they're on the opposite side of the field from the players. And then please be sure to clean up your bench after the games. As you know, we're still under that COVID time period with everything going on right now. So just kind of some restrictions and guidelines for the spring season. Make sure to go over these with your players and your parents. They'll be sent out the document as well. But make sure you're staying home or keep your child home if you are feeling sick. Players have players practice social distancing on the sidelines. Not sitting together in one big huddle. Make sure they're spaced out. And then at the end of the games, there's no handshake line with opposing teams after games. We suggest teams wave to opposing teams to congratulate good play and sportsmanship. And then for more guidelines, please refer to the park game policies that was sent out with your coach's email as well. If you have any questions, feel free to contact me. There's my email or my work phone number. Reminder, our office location is Monday through Friday from 9 a.m. to 4 p.m. only for when we're there. And then take a look at your rosters. If you see someone who is still not on there, who you believe should be on there, just double check with me. But at this point, I have everyone who has paid is on their roster. So at this point, if someone's not listed, it means they have not registered at all with us. And they would need to come into our office to do that at this time, as we needed to close online registration. So again, any questions, feel free to contact me. And then in the email you received, there will also be a link with the printout of this PowerPoint, your league rules, park procedures, all that kind of stuff will be in there as well.